From Studio 1A in Tampa, Florida, comes a talk show that really feels your pain and tells you like it is. We love America and all that freedom-loving Americans want to protect. Live from coast to coast and on your radio, it's For the People with Keith Allen.
We'll help you survive this thing called life. We're for the people. Whatever your source of stress or strife, for the people is there.
Well, hello, Mr. and Mrs. America. I am Keith Allen and proudly welcoming you to this Monday's edition of For the People. It's August the 21st. And a lot of people, hopefully with the right kind of glasses, will be viewing this total solar eclipse, or depending on where you are in the United States, partial eclipse. And my daughter is at school, and she sent me a text message already this morning. And we do the show from Tampa, Florida. And so I kind of got the times broken down here to witness because there's timing, for all of what's going on here. So for Orlando, it's 1:19 to start Eastern Daylight Time, and then Tampa, a couple minutes after, or is it before? It's before Orlando, so it's 1:17. So we start before Orlando. That's a beautiful thing. What are we talking about? What's all the hype about? We're talking about a phenomenon that happens to be a 100-year event because of how this goes across the country, our country, the United States of America. Now, the clock is ticking. People eagerly anticipating the Great American Eclipse. And it's going to make its way across the U.S. today. This is what to expect. Actually, we're going to go to a report right now out in Oregon right now, and I understand our guy is ready to go. His name is Dan Springer. He's a correspondent for Fox News. This is a very rare event, from what I understand.
Yeah, scientists are still learning a lot about how the sun works, the intensity of the sun, and they're going to be studying the corona, which is the outer atmosphere of the sun. But there's a lot more they can learn. NASA thinks this will be the most studied solar eclipse ever, primarily because so many people will be able to get to the area. Matt Henry is one of 1,500 amateur photographers who will upload pictures for a Google Eclipse mega movie. He got his first refractor when he was only 6 years old, and he was hooked on this stuff when he saw Halley's Comet.
I'm pretty excited. This is the top of my bucket list from a astronomy type event. I've seen a number of things like the Northern Lights, but this is the top. I've never seen a solar eclipse.
And the weather here in Madras is absolutely perfect. We see perfectly blue skies. Now, there were some fires to the west, but that smoke is being pushed to the south. And so people who are in this band of totality here in Central Oregon will get a beautiful glimpse of the eclipse in about 4 hours.
Now, again, this is the first eclipse to cross the entire country coast to coast in almost 100 years. So you don't want to look. Folks, I repeat this. It's been all over the news. Newspapers, but there's going to be people, according to doctors and ER rooms, there's going to be visits from all over the country, unfortunately, from people that did not heed the warnings or didn't hear the warnings. And the warning is you don't look at the sun. It can hurt your retinas. It can blind you. It can cause a lot of damage. Unfortunately, there's been some glasses that have been sold, and we've talked about it here on For the People, that are not certified. NASA, their glasses are certified. If you were lucky enough to pick up a welding helmet, that would be good enough. But regular sunglasses, not a chance. Now, I understand if you just look for a second and then look down, look for a second, but prolonged exposure, doctors are just totally not recommending it whatsoever. There's still time to build your boxes, and you can still get ready for it. But, man, it is big doings from what I understand.
Well, at least that's what they tell me. You know, that's why we're here. People are just starting to wake up in their tents. We're still about 3 hours away from when the moon will start to eclipse the sun, but then the full eclipse is about a little over 4 hours away. People are saying this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and that's why they have flocked to the path of totality and flocked here to Madras, Oregon. People are saying that this is not like horseshoes. Close does not count. The total eclipse really is quite different from a partial eclipse, and that's why thousands have descended on this town. The lower 48, all states will see at least partial covering of the sun, but the people flocking to places like Madras, Oregon want the full experience. 20,000 people took a carrot field over this week. They're calling it Solar Town, and here's some of the reaction from people as they get ready for this big eclipse.
We're here to experience the eclipse because we missed Woodstock.
They say it's almost mystical to do it, and yeah, I'd like to see one while I'm on this side of the dirt.
The next total solar eclipse that will go from coast to coast in the U.S., August 12th, 2045, 28 years from now.
So we'll be looking for that. People, man, are really geared up for this thing, folks. I mean, for some of you, it's not a big deal, but I think it's kind of special. I'll be checking it out. I'll be looking out the window to see, if it's getting darker outside, but I'm not going to be looking directly. However, I'll have my monitor on. By the way, a lot of your news channels are going to be covering it with filters, but nasa.gov, great website, and they're going to be carrying this live with their filters. Yes, perfectly safe to view on your television or your smartphone device, but people are going
definitely
nuts.
Excited. I don't think I've seen one before. I don't remember seeing one before, so it'll be an interesting event. Probably it'll be weird to have kind of twilight hour in the morning.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to see it since I was a little boy. That's all. Always wanted to see it.
It's a unique experience. You don't get to do too many of those in your life.
All right, so soak it all in. I think people are drawn together because we could do this together. We could witness this together. And it's something that brings people together and brings families together and having a nice conversation about the earth and its sun and how magnificent it really is. We don't sometimes think with all this busy stuff going on down here about just how dependent we are on the sun for its warmth, and it's been really toasty here in Florida. But just the sheer magnificence, if you will, of God's creation. So it is a cool thing. So be careful, and please tell as many people as possible around you to not be tempted to look up, because that's what people are going to do. And when you're driving, hopefully people will pull over and have the necessary gear. But again, emergency rooms across the country, expect a big influx of people coming in with eye problems. And again, I don't know how many more warnings, but NASA has issued a lot of warnings and an alert to go out to people to say that if you don't trust the glasses, or don't trust just regular sunglasses or the darkest sunglasses, if it's not approved, and the NASA glasses are the biggest deals, and there's a lot of fraud glasses that are out there. If you're not sure about it, don't risk your eyes, because you only get one pair of those. So be careful out there, folks. I'm going to exercise restraint from not doing, because I didn't get the glasses. There's some libraries that are handing them out in some areas, so you may want to, you still have some time possibly to do that. You may want to contact them if you're really wanting to get a pair of these things in your city. We did get an alert here. I get kind of a neighborhood paper that comes out here in Tampa called Patch, and it might be in your area. I don't even know why I get it. I guess maybe they know I'm on the radio and I talk about it. I give them some good exposure. I have no idea. But it did say that there was about 3 libraries in Tampa first thing that was going to hand them out. So I thought that was a beautiful thing. So that might be still an option, or bare minimal, you can get the welding helmet, and you might be able to pick one up real cheap at a pawn shop. One guy heard the other day. Picked one up for about $20. That's a pretty good deal for a welding helmet. But there you go. A total eclipse or partial eclipse, depending on where you're at. Now, I have lived several different cities because of my radio career. I've lived in Tampa. I've lived in Washington, D.C., worked for Clear Channel in Baltimore. Well, not Baltimore, but they were Rockville, Maryland. There you go. I commute from Virginia and the D.C. area. It's all the same. It's all D.C. But anyway, Los Angeles, New York, where I started my radio career. But I'll tell you, I enjoyed living in the D.C. area in Alexandria because I got to see these great monuments. The Jefferson Memorial is a very special memorial. And it's going to change. And I have mixed feelings about the whole deal with Thomas Jefferson's memorial. I mean, he contributed a lot to this country. And there's an update because the memorial is going to change. The complexity of his status as a founder of the United States and a slaveholder, according to stewards of the National Mall, they've made a decision pretty much to put a little marker next to the memorial indicating that he had slaves. I mean, if you actually had a history lesson, took a history lesson, you don't have to, okay, so all the ones that had slaves, which were just about everybody, unfortunately, at the time, it was the era of our country. And not to say that it was right, but geez, it happened. I just go back on saying this reignites things that happened to our forefathers, people that have been dead for a long time. I am definitely wouldn't have been one that would have been too proud to have had slaves on my farm. But again, it was the times. And again, I didn't think it was a great idea, but geez, slavery, just in case you did not know this, has been abolished. It's no longer there. It's not here anymore. I did get another text message, and I'm going to have to look at this, and this it revealed something. Oh, I know where to find it. There it is. It's a little picture of a little girl, and it says, black people who were never slaves are fighting white people who were never Nazis over a Confederate statue erected by Democrats because Democrats can't stand their own history anymore. And somehow it's Trump's fault. This girl has her mouth open, her hands extended. It's the cutest picture. Let me read that again. Maybe you can memorize it and tell somebody. Black people who were never slaves are fighting white people who were never Nazis over a Confederate statue erected by Democrats, which is true, because Democrats can't stand their own history anymore. And again, and somehow it's Trump's fault. The little girl has a point. If you look into your party's history, if you happen to be Democrat, they were all for slavery, did not want to abolish slavery. Al Gore's daddy, part of that, did not want to do away with segregation. Oh, yeah, segregate them. Al Gore's daddy. Oh, absolutely. The Democrat Party steeped in slavery. Owned a lot of slaves, were all for it. It was the party of Lincoln that actually the Emancipation Proclamation. Oh, but the left, they don't want you to know this. The party of Lincoln, and it's amazing, the same party that's often quoted, because Lincoln's a great president, of course, just like Ronald Reagan, as they echoed so many of them in the news media, as a dunderhead, now they revere him as being a great president. And man, were things so nice when Ronald Reagan was in office. He wasn't perfect. There's none that are perfect. Only one that's walked this earth. That's Jesus Christ. But this, again, just frustrates me to the no end. That there are those folks that like to fuel the flames of hatred and racism and all of these other particular things. Nancy